Hi everybody, this video is focusing on 15-year-old Natan, who's a Jewish boy. He is born into an obscure Jewish sect where apparently they don't read the Torah, and he's never read the Torah, this boy. And he's here with Rabbi Rami Levy, and I've had a look at his website, and he's a really decent guy. I've got a lot of respect for him. He certainly isn't a Zionist anyway. And so I'm focusing on this, on Natan's message, because he died and he was dead for 15 minutes and then he came back to life. And he here shares his experience of what happened to him after he died, and he describes an out-of-body experience. He describes leaving his body, seeing his body, and even rising up high from earth and into a place that he calls heaven, where he was admitted to the lower levels of heaven. And he describes what he experienced there, and a lot of what he describes matches perfectly with what is in the Torah. And there are moments as Natan is sharing what he's experienced and what he's been told there, and he looks quite surprised because Rabbi Rami Levy says yes, that's written in the Torah, and he is genuinely surprised at that. And this experience, Natan's experience, is well documented. It doesn't appear in any way to be a fake, and I think it's very significant that this has happened now, especially in Israel and at this point in human history, and the importance of Judaism as really the cornerstone behind the world's three major religions of Christianity, Judaism and Islam. And what Natan describes happens to him is basically he goes through a judgment first, and it is essentially himself judging himself, and he explains how there's two lights. One relates all the good things that he does, and the other one relates all the bad things that he's done. And then somehow, these are weighed up one against the other to see if he's done more bad than good. And he also says that he was told what would happen in the end. And he said the end is not far. He says months away. And he says that 70 nations, led by Obama, who he says is Gog, and he says, because he says Gog, and then he says, who is this man Gog? And he says Obama, is apparently going to lead all the world nations against Israel. And the boy says it's because Israel is not living kindly. And also that the nations that are turning against Israel because Israel isn't living kindly are themselves unkind, evil nations who will turn against Israel and have the full support of most of the world's population, who are horrified at what's been going on in Palestine for so many decades now. But those warmongers, they are just in it for what they can get, and they are actually serving the Zionists, because from what I understand is that will be the Zionists' final chance. Well, it'll be their chance to, what they see as, finally eradicate the concept of the God of love that Yahweh truly is. Now, Natan says that we're asked advises the Jewish people to learn Torah, which I suppose for British people would be the Bible, Muslims the Quran, Hindus, the Bhagavad Gita. We all learn our holy books. And so we need to ask ourselves why. If this is the higher consciousness is speaking to us now through this 15-year-old boy, and the higher consciousness is advising us to learn the Torah, why? Because our so-called holy books are holy because they are a written record of the foundations of our human psychology and all the thoughts that influence us to this very day. And what's been happening is, instead of building on the strength of that text with every new generation and new knowledge, we've been forced by those who've most profited from misunderstandings and misinterpretations of the text, and then their misapplications of that into life. You see? So basically the New World Order is clinging to a set of ruins. Because in order to learn from the Torah, when we read what's happened in the past, we can learn, we recognise the errors, you see, and we also recognise what was right, where we benefited. And that's why it's so important to learn our history and to understand the psychologies that arise within certain contexts of the worlds that we create from what we understand of the thoughts that govern us. So, if we believe in a vengeful, angry God, then, we're going to be a vengeful, angry people. If we believe in a loving, kind, merciful God, then we will be a loving, kind, merciful people. And that is the battle that we can read, and every holy book reflects that battle between sanity and insanity, good and evil, law and lawlessness. And, so we come to a concept like Zionism, for example, which is presently has used the Jewish faith, well, it rides it like a horse, in the same way that, the Church of England and the Pope ride the concept of Jesus like a horse. They utilise the power of the people power attached to those faiths, and they mislead them and misguide them and misdirect them. So what Natan says is that there will be World War III unless Israel chooses to live kindly. So that means we have a choice. And I have been quite alarmed at, there's been a lot of videos made about Natan and what he describes of his experience. And a lot of those videos do focus very heavily that, on the World War III aspect. This is going to happen. That is going to happen. Yes, just as it says in Revelations here, and as it says there, and as it says in this prophecy, that prophecy, that is exactly what will happen. But Natan himself tells us that the angels have told him it doesn't have to happen if we live kindly. So, as usual, humanity, again, we make that mistake of focusing on the negativity and dismissing the positive, like, oh, well, that's just a triviality, isn't it? Of course we're not going to live kindly. Of course we're not. And that's the problem. And that's why there will be World War III. And that's why evil then shall triumph. Because, then the good people of Israel will rightfully stand up against the hypocrites that have, now turned against them. But at what price? Do we really need all that trouble after all we've been through as a species in every nation, what we've suffered, the horror of this cruel, ignorant consciousness that now wants to kill billions of people and actually hopes to fulfill the most horrific prophecies in doing so. You know, they, as I've said in previous videos, they didn't erect the Georgia Guidestones for no reason, claiming that they want to maintain a human population of under 500 million, as if they've got a right to do that, when Yahweh, Allah, told humanity to go forth and multiply. But they claim that they're Allah, Yahweh's chosen people. Okay, whether the Saudi elite Muslims, you know, Christian elites or Jewish elites that are aligned with Zionism, you know, they all follow a psychopathic consciousness. And they don't live kindly, they are unkind people. And I think that the true prophecy that we can follow is Isaiah. And it is really remarkable when you read Isaiah at how closely what he talks about there resembles exactly the situation that we're living in today and the consciousness that we're up against, or rather that is standing against us. And the only way that we can defeat that consciousness is through understanding and living kindly, standing by the law, standing up for our children's rights, because that's the main thing that we need to do, is to protect the children, because, you know, as I've said in previous videos, we are the life bloodline now between children having a future and children being debt slaves. And that will apply to every child on the planet. So it's very significant that Natan has had this experience in Israel, as I say, at this moment in time. And I have faith in the genuine Jewish people who really carry the love light of Yahweh, Jah, in their hearts, and the genuine Muslim people who really carry the love light of Allah in their heart. That between those people the strength of kindness and forgiveness is most strong, because they are on the lands that these concepts were first written down into words on paper. And as I've always said it, you know, what changes this world is words on paper and how we interpret them and what we understand from them. Those are our guiding lights. Because we can talk and discuss and change according to what we read and what we learn from the people who were left behind from us, because they had no way except to leave behind their thoughts. And it is up to us what we learn from those thoughts. And as new knowledge comes by, we know that sometimes, you know, some thoughts were wrong. It was wrong to take away women's rights. It was wrong to judge a child as a minor human being. It was wrong to claim that people of another race or culture are lesser beings. Because the way forward isn't to judge. It's not to judge people. It's to help people, to lift them up. And that's what kindness does. Kindness is light. It lifts people up. It gives people dignity. And sometimes kindness is anger, and kindness is fighting and war. Because if that's what you've got to do in order to directly protect your children, then that's sometimes what we have to do. Sometimes we have to weigh up, where is our kindness here? If being kind to our enemy means that our children are going to suffer massively, then obviously we can never afford to rob our children, because we're just robbing ourselves. But that is what the Zionists do. They rob everybody's children in order to give more to themselves than their own children. But actually what they're giving to their own children is less, because their children are being raised to be less human. And they judge their children as less human. It is them that have placed the judgment on children. And Isaiah said, give justice to the children. And that's what we need to do. And I think that is the way forward for humanity, is to stand up for the children's rights in every nation, to feel love for those little children in our hearts, because they didn't choose to be born in this world, and they are not responsible for any of the crimes that are being committed in this world. And we have to think about them and stand up for their rights in every country. And now is the time to protect the children. And Israel, if Israeli people care about their own children, then they will protect their own children by caring about Palestinian children. You see? That's how it works. As we give, so we receive. That's how it works. And, I think Natan's experience, like I say, is fully supported by quantum physics. Again, as I've said in previous videos, we are full of quantum energy. We know it doesn't perish with the physical body. We know that there are other dimensions of light being, and Natan has experienced them. And I think the consciousness, is speaking to us through him now, and it is just down now to the faithful, to the people who truly believe in a higher consciousness and an intelligent universe, and it is down to us now. How much do we really believe? What are we prepared to give to save our planet? Because there aren't too many people. We know that for a fact. And for the Zionists to say that there are too many people, they are actually, and all who stand by that philosophy are, they're basically saying that Yahweh, Allah, was wrong, because we were told to go forth and multiply, and we have. And the absolute truth is that when we live kindly and live in abundance, give in abundance to each other, populations, we don't suffer imbalanced populations, because when women have rights, populations stabilise, birth rates fall. That's a fact, and it's a known fact. But obviously the people who love the psychopathic consciousness, who would love to see World War III and have the chance to wreak havoc everywhere and loot and profit, and then go and hide away in their bunkers to survive until come out in the aftermath, as it were. Those people, what can they really benefit? What will actually be left for them? they want that, and they feel that that is going to give them the greater rewards. But actually, the reality is that the planet has invested a massive amount for every human being alive today. Every single human being is precious for what this planet has paid to produce that human being, and to give it the knowledge, and whatever it is that human being carries, this planet and life and history have paid a massive price for that. And the planet and the universe do not want to witness all of that destroyed and wasted, because every single child is a treasure, a bright, wonderful being that can do magnificent things on this planet. And instead, this new world order just want to waste them. They want to waste and just impose their insane agenda for the future. And it is insane, there is no future but their insanity, and it is not the right way to live, and it's not based on kindness. It's based on theft and robbery and deceit and evil, insanity basically. And so they're saying that should be rewarded, that all the horrors that they've committed, the lawlessness, should be rewarded with them ultimately owning the whole planet and having every single human being alive on planet Earth in debt forever to their bank. And that is exactly what they are saying. And it will come to World War III, because the imbalance will get that great, and then they start fighting against each other. So we need, I think, to really listen to what Natan is saying and follow the prophecy of Isaiah and hold the child's hand. Stand by the child. The child is asking us to live kindly. Heaven has told him, if we live kindly, World War III doesn't have to happen. So all these people who say, see, look, it's just going to be exactly as it is written, in here, in there, in there. No, it does not have to be like that. He has explained exactly that it doesn't. We have a choice. Choose. Do we choose death and destruction? Do we choose to allow this horror to continue after everything we've suffered? Do we need to go through all that trouble? Isn't it better just to go through a little bit of trouble it takes to live kindly, with respect, with compassion, not competition? And that is what the New World Order does, depend mostly on competition. Everything's a competition. It isn't. We need to lose that philosophy. And like Muhammad said, die before you die. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that. Die before you die. What did he mean by that? Let the person that this world has created of you, the consciousness that this world created, that you believed in, that you thought was true, let that die. Live a new life. Invite new thoughts into your mind, new ways of being. Abandon unkind ways of being. Learn to understand one another. Show tolerance. Not everybody has had the advantages that one person might have had more advantages and has been able to reach a higher level of understanding, or some people have had disadvantages that have given them a higher level of understanding. Some people have paid a very high price for their levels of understanding, and so we need to show compassion and understanding to each other, and to help each other arrive at the ultimate realization that we are, each of us, eternal universal light beings. And in this body, in this life on earth, we get to experience for real the reality of our universe, that the universe is created for us. And, to delight in nurturing that and caring for it. And we have a lot more to gain by keeping by saving as many people and children as we possibly can. We have a lot more to gain now by saving those people, and us all using our abundance of being to clean the planet up, to care for it, to repair, to nurture. We can do wonderful things, and there are 100,000, there are millions of Einsteins, great artists, who are starving today. That's the fact of it. That's our humanity. We need to lose this idea that intelligence and, genius is born into wealth. It isn't. It's just that it's more likely to be recognised there than it is when it's born into abject poverty in a shanty town. We need to start valuing the children as full human beings, as VIPs, not as minors. And, what Natan experienced, I believe him. And I believe that as adults of today, we have a duty and a responsibility to look out for the next generation. And we do need to be aware of what awaits those children's future if we just allow things to continue as they are. And, my previous video, I shared Ken O'Keefe's One World Citizen project, which again, I asked people to support Ken O'Keefe, and also I asked people to support Michael Tellinger of Ubuntu, South Africa. They show us the way. They're two leading lights that show us the way into how we can live. And even though the world is such a horrible place right now because we are governed by such madness, the fact is that universal reality is absolutely amazing and fantastic. And I think just knowing that now and really accepting it and believing it as a fact and having faith in that knowing that will give people the strength to really look at the negativity of the world and not feel oppressed just by knowing it, because we know the more magnificent reality that the world has been operating in denial of, and trying to deny the magnificent reality from us too, in order to sell us this fiction and fantasy, so they can profit. A few people can profit because there's something wrong with them, and they enjoy suffering, and they profit from it, and they've been doing it for so long. It's now an accepted consciousness, to the extent that people do still commonly believe that non-emotional people are more intelligent. And, again, we just need to reevaluate and, start living the right way up. That's what we need to do. And yes, learn the Torah, understand the past, look at the present, learn something. Where is the wheat? Where is the chaff? Isaiah is wheat. The prophecy of Isaiah is wheat. It's solid. And all of our religions, no matter what religion it is, the foundation of that religion is for us to live kindly, with respect and honour and with dignity. Okay? That's the foundation. And we need to build on that foundation instead of living by these ruins. You know. So, anyway, I send my love to both Rabbi, Rami, Levy and 15-year-old Natan, and thanks as well for sharing this amazing experience with the world. And I do appeal to everybody, instead of focusing on how the prophecies are being fulfilled with the World War III scenario, let us focus on what heaven has actually said to this little boy, that if we live kindly, that doesn't need to happen. And let us understand that Israel is now a focal point of the whole world, and what happens there will influence the whole of humanity. And in that sense, perhaps all the inhabitants of Palestine now, including Israel, are, in a sense, God's chosen people. Because what you people decide to do now, both Muslims and Jews and Christians that live there, what you people that live in that land decide to do now, regardless of what your leaders are doing, what you ordinary people decide to do, you will influence the whole world. And if you can find the strength in your hearts after everything, especially the Palestinians, after what you've suffered, if you can find the strength in your hearts on both sides to care about one another's children as much as your own, as if each child is your own child, and think to yourselves to give to one another and make the land of Palestine a beautiful place. You people have the power to do that. And if you can do that, there will be rejoicing throughout the universe, and humanity will have been born. And Natan says that. Natan says that it does not need to happen if we live kindly. And still, the Messiah will be there. People will know. Everybody will know who everybody is. And we will know who our true leaders are, because true leaders don't fight for power. They just shine their light. And, that is what Ken O'Keefe is doing. And that's what Michael Tellinger is doing. They are shining their light. And that's what true leaders do. It's to share because they care, not because they need to control us. And so, again, I will leave you now, and thank you very, very much for listening. And as I say, I have absolute faith and hope that we can overcome the atrocities and horrors of this world once we embrace the truth, and we are empowered by that. Thank you. Love to all.